let off some steam.
Hey, overweight balding 24-year-old here.
Hey.
What? Don't do that. That's Pyrocynical's thing. Huh. Okay. Is this bit going anywhere? No. Huh. Okay. Anyway, welcome ladies and gentlemen to Let Off Some Steam, and we are on episode 19, and today we're looking at a game that I used to play back in the merry old age of 13. Developed by Chaos and Trauma Studios and then published by THQ. Moment of silence. Fortnite feels... Frontlines, Fuel of War. So, first off, the game neglected to give me a tutorial, but hey, it's an FPS. Well, it won't be too hard. Cutscene time. So basically, World War III. Fuel is running low, and we got tanks and helicopters everywhere. What a great solution. Sir, running out of fuel. Let's consume more. This game is already so American, I love it. Our main character... Psst, no idea who he actually is in the group, by the way. Gives us a narration of what led up to it. Seeing as this game is from 2008, our enemies are obviously Russian or Chinese or some kind of reincarnation of the beast from the east. See this list for reference. So yeah, the year is 2024. There's a huge fossil fuel shortage and bird flu comes back again, but this time it's actually deadly towards us.
The Depression hit in 2012.
I remember that year far too well. The Depression. Finally, we get into the game and... Oh, okay, that's not working, is it? No, I'm just looking around, zooming in... Hey, hold on, okay, let me fix this. My helicopter crashed, someone kidnapped the journalist, and now we gotta find him. Boom. I noticed that almost immediately that 1, the enemies seem to spawn infinitely unless you keep pushing forward, and 2, this game gives you a lot, and I mean a lot of options to get around the battlefield. You can go high, you can go low, you can go through the middle and be safe, rooftops, alleyways, it's great. I've also noticed that the first map is ironically restricted in size, which makes it really unfortunate. I was advertised a playground, but given a cardboard box that would fit a blender or something. I don't know where I was going with that, I just kind of lost track. Anyway, I shot a bunch of people, I used a lot of cool weapons, and I saved the journalist. I actually almost killed him. I mean, look at this pot. That door should have just blown and blasted right into his face and flattened him. I finished the level. Boom. Hold on, wait. Hit V. Yeah, man, hit V. You want me to hit V? Yeah, I wanted you to hit V. You seriously want me to hit V? Hit V hard! Oh, I'll hit V, motherfucker! Yeah, bring it on! Ah! Hey. That's a pretty good zoom. What's the best way to describe the gameplay? As wide as the ocean and as deep as a pint glass. So there are a lot of things you can do in this game. You can use flying drones, you can use driving drones, you can drive tanks, you can use download cars, you can fire rockets, shotguns, call in a rocket or airstrike, you can even have a grenade launcher. But you know what? It feels empty. To begin with, aiming with the guns feels too static. Whether it's from an airstrike or from your rifle, it's rigid, it's unnatural, but what bothers me is that this game is from 2008, a year after Modern Warfare, which perfected so many little details. The vehicles don't feel polished at all. When I drive a tank, it felt like a slow go-kart and not a 40-ton armoured beast, and don't get me started on the helicopters, that stuff gave me motion sickness. To aim your guns, you have to point it at your target, but pointing it at your target makes you lean towards, which makes you fly right into its face and almost crash unless you can pull out like you hate condoms. Another issue is that this level pits you against endless waves of bad guys for a solid 5 minutes, and if all your enemies are bullet sponges and the 3 tanks take 3 rockets each to destroy, you're gonna have a bad time. Well, the objectives are really repetitive. It's either capture there, destroy this, or hack that. That's all I remember. The game feels dated, and the blame for that lies on the gameplay, but I'll need to go to that later. Clearly, the first thing anybody notices is what I call the Fallout 3 problem. Every part of the environment is shit smeared. I don't need to go into any more detail than that. I keep talking about the issue. Moving on. Thing is, it being released on the Xbox 360 is what caused this. The console's limitation probably forced the developers to make the game visually... meh. If they wanted it to work and sell on the 360, it needed to look simplistic. If everything was detailed and colourful, the 360 just wouldn't have been able to handle that. Once again, you console peasants ruin everything! The designs for the soldiers are... Well, I can't tell them apart. They all look almost exactly the same. Gruff-looking dudes with combat fatigues and guns and... I don't even remember their names. The journalist is the one that stands out the most because of his outfit, but even then, what is his name? Guys, if any of you watching this played it, tell me. But don't Google it! No Googling. That's cheating. Moving on. I find the design for the enemies more interesting because they at least use more colours. They have greens and reds, and then the militia version of them have a good assortment of noticeable colours too, like white and stuff as well. This game does not impress me at all so far. I'm sure you haven't been able to notice them. So the story follows an American army company called the Stray Dogs. From what I can tell, they're the future equivalent of the 101st Airborne from World War II. Badass, tough as nails soldiers that can do anything. However, I really doubt there's a company of soldiers that can drive tanks and fly helicopters. What happens is you go from place to place, disabling towers, blowing up all kinds of stuff, knocking out communication towers. It's very forgettable, but there are key moments in it that remind me of Call of Duty 4 way too much. 2007's Modern Warfare used a lot of shock and awe storytelling to great effect. I can't imagine bumping into anyone that doesn't remember the mind-blowing moments where the Americans make a move on Al-Assad's palace, where suddenly a nuclear bomb is detonated and, well, you witness the final moments of a lonely soldier. Or the mesmerizing and paranoia-inducing mission where you had to crawl through the barren ghost town of Pripyat, where you were an SAS sniper hunting the internationally wanted terrorist Zakhaev. It's easy to say that Fortnite Fuel of War tried to replicate this narrative device to keep itself relevant and interesting, where unfortunately it fails at both. In 2 points of the story, the bad guys launch a few tactical nukes which, by the way, at that distance, would still have turned these characters into dust. Due to how it shows the effects of it, which is pretty much nothing according to this game, it comes off as really shallow and disappointing, and it's the same for its mandatory lone sniper mission. In Call of Duty, you have to avoid patrols, think about every shot that you took and make sure they were worth it. There was a sense of weight to your decisions. You couldn't run at things head on, that would spell immediate death. You had to wait, and you had to pick your moments. In this game, it didn't matter where you went or how you wanted to take out your enemies. I could run up to all of the little outposts all over the map and deal with the bad guys literally however I wanted. The game's narrative, the weight of my decisions, I didn't feel like I had a reason to do what I was doing. There was no motivation for me other than, you're invading Russia. The ending is a disappointing hold your ground defensively type thing where they spawn countless enemies and then you just win because you took Moscow. To summarise, the story sucked, and it tries to copy other games without looking at why the narratives worked in the first place. Oh, by the way, they baited a sequel at the end of the game where they said China was sending in their army. I can't wait to play that one. So the world of this game is based in an alternate reality where bird flu came back and fossil fuels are running very low. The solution to this is, of course, have huge land battles that drinks up all the fuel like it's a Russian with a bottle of vodka. Well, unless somebody can explain why, somehow this affects the global food supply and now people are starving. Okay, I get how people are starving. I mean, look at me. I can't go 20 minutes without collapsing unless I have a sandwich. I mean, okay, how does a shortage of fuel make the food go bye-bye? Two sides that are pivotal to this world are the Coalition, a mix of all the different countries in the West, with the majority being represented, obviously being America. What a surprise. And then there's Red Star, China and Russia, or more accurately, Soviet Union 2, Electric Boogaloo. I've always wanted to say that in one of these videos. Alright, time to nitpick at the dumb parts of the game world. So, in modern war, especially in 2024, I would imagine, if two major powers went up against each other, there definitely wouldn't be massive land battles like we had in World War II. That stuff is over. That was started to be on the way out in the Vietnam War, for God's sake, where guerrilla warfare was more prominent over head-to-head fighting. The most accurate part of this game is the use of drones. More than likely they'd be used for strafing or bombing runs in these situations, and then they'd drop off a couple of units in helicopters to secure the position. In this world, there's full-on fighting between soldiers without any prior attacks from artillery, which is actually how combat worked in the Second World War, by the way. Then of course there is the idea at the end of the story that taking Moscow means you win against Russia. I'm sorry, but do you realise how big Russia is, for one thing? Also, do you have any idea how easy it is to move politicians and military officials nowadays? Taking Moscow didn't even work for Napoleon, and that was 200 years ago, so yeah, I don't buy any of this shit. I mean, they would at least have battery-powered Hummers made by old Muskie by 2024. And also, I haven't even revealed like the least realistic situation in this game. The most realistic shit that would happen is that everywhere gets nuked. Nothing would be left. Nuclear winter would be upon us. Blow out soon, comrade. Just like most obscure games from 2008 nowadays, the multiplayer has been stabbed in an alleyway and left rotting. Well, this game was mediocre. This game wasn't terrible by any measure, but it wasn't really good either. I felt neutral playing through the whole thing. Almost like I felt nothing, which obviously is never a good thing. The gameplay felt dated, like it should have been released in 2004, the graphics were meh and mostly brown and miserable. I'm glad I got to finish this game ever since I first played it in 2008, but I'm also glad I never bought it for myself. For some reason, it's still about 10 quid on Steam, which surprises me, but due to the fact that the multiplayer is dead now and the campaign only took me about 4.5 hours to finish, which is incredibly short, by the way, ridiculously short. That's the length of an average indie walking simulator, and for a AAA game, you really expect more, and a higher quality of writing. Even if or when it goes on sale, it's not worth the money. If this game was a fossil, they wouldn't put it in a museum. I think they'd just throw it away. I would anyway. But we do need to talk about my job at the Natural History Museum. I don't recommend it. It's just mediocre. It's nothing special, and the price that it is at now, especially after 10 years and being outdated before its release, is not worth 10 quid. Hell, not even single quid. The only time you should want to play this is when it's free. Otherwise, this is another game to be left out of the history books. I give it a mayonnaise sandwich out of 7. I don't even know what that means. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this new episode of Letters from Steam. I definitely did. I have no idea what the next episode is going to be. Hopefully something good, because the last couple of games have been utter shite. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to eventually get more like it, and please leave a thumbs up. I don't know how it helps, but it's the thought that counts. Bye!